ICSAN is a leading statutorily established professional body dedicated to enhancing the status and practice of corporate governance and public administration. ICSAN members are trained as chartered secretaries and administrators.
Who are chartered secretaries and administrators?
Chartered secretaries are high-ranking governance professionals with a broad base of skills, unique amongst other professions. They are trained in law, finance, accounting, administration, strategy development, and corporate governance. In today's world, chartered secretaries and administrators discharge a wide range of duties and responsibilities, including functioning as chairmen of companies, executive directors, non-executive directors, company secretaries, risk managers, compliance managers, board evaluators, and corporate governance evaluators.
That is interesting. How then do I become a chartered secretary and administrator?
Good. Go to the Institute's website, www.icsan.org. You can also visit the National Secretariat of ICSAN at Plot 6, Elephant Cement Way, Alausa, Ikeja, Lagos, to get full information on how to become members. ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
A very good morning to you. This is 89.7 FM. My name is Olabisi Omidiri. I welcome you to ICSAN Corporate Governance Platform, sponsored by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. They are a leading recognized professional body in Nigeria dedicated to enhancing the status and practice of corporate governance and public administration. This morning, our focus is on whistleblowing as a governance mechanism. My guest is Dr. OLUFEMI MOSAKU-JOHNSON, FCIS. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you, for having me here.
All right. And I also have with me the head research, ICSAN, Mr. Kayode Ketefe. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Olabisi. Good morning to you, our distinguished guest, Dr. OLUFEMI MOSAKU-JOHNSON, and all our loyal listeners. Good morning to you.
Let's start off our discussion on whistleblowing as a governance mechanism. What is whistleblowing, sir?
Thank you very much. Whistleblowing is very, very critical component of corporate governance. When we are talking about checks and balance, which is the fundamental issue in corporate governance, one of the key content of checks and balance is whistleblowing, and this has to do with voluntary information from members of the staff, especially that notice that there is some sort of anomalies, some sort of misbehavior, some sort of pilfering, embezzlement, fraud, and things that actually are basically negative or that are incongenial with the dictate of the law. So somebody that is working in a particular environment will volunteer and say, this is what I see. And that is why you hear today now some slogan. I mean, you have this slogan recently that says, if you see something, say something. This has to do with whistleblowing. This has to do with the fact that some people, if nobody is checking them, if nobody is watching them, they can decide to do whatever they want to do, excepting there is somebody that say, excuse me, there is somebody here that is doing this and that. What do we do about him?
All right. So let's look at the relevance of whistleblowing in the concept of corporate governance.
Yes. Yes, the as a matter of fact, that's why even the Financial Reporting Council regulation, I think 19 says that every organization must, as a matter of compulsion, design a policy of whistleblowing in their organization. And of course, this has to cut across everywhere, from the marketplace to hospital system to prison system to police system. There has to be some policies that are supposed to be in place. Without anybody watching anybody will do whatever they want to do. So that's why there is the need, as a matter of compulsion and as a matter of necessity, that there are some policies that should be in place to encourage people, especially those of them that have decided to be of incorruptible integrity, to stand up and say, this is what I've seen, and so on. Of course, we are going to talk about some of the policies that guides those people that volunteer information and so on, because it's very, very difficult, especially in our own society, that every strata of the society is basically corrupt. You can see from prison to police station, from police station to university system. You can imagine something happened at the University of Calabar. If not for whistleblower, a professor is the only person that can actually mobilize students for law school. And this professor, it is either your bomb, or or your money. It's only that person. In corporate government, we talk about checks and balance. There is no checks and balance, excepting that there is one whistleblower that says this is what is going on. Now the case is in the court, and so on. So, as a matter of fact, anywhere you see that there is no system of checks and balance, there is no policy of whistleblowing, people will behave the way they want to behave, and it will be incongenial to the good taste of the society.
Now, the federal government has recently developed a national policy on whistleblowing.
Yes.
Do you think such a policy is enough, or having an on-the-subject act of National Assembly should be preferred?
Thank you very much for this important question. It is not enough, actually. As a matter of fact, it is not enough. Basically, there is a policy. In fact, there is Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning whistleblowing program, and a number of programs by the federal government, and so on. But without legalistic stand on some of these policies, it will hold no water. This policy, at best, it can back, but it has never beaten anybody. It's not biting, it's only backing. It cannot work. There has to be a legal framework if we are serious about it. Of course, to me, I know that we are not yet serious about it. If we get serious about it, there will be a legal framework that will ensure that not only that there will be whistleblowers, but the protection of the whistleblower. I remember somebody attended my program in Abuja some years ago, and I went to check him in Shagam. I think he works with a state agency and so on, and I learned that he was dead. I said, why? What killed him? They say he blew a whistle, and he was waylaid by the people that were affected, and he was thoroughly beaten. He was beaten blue-black. He was rushed to the hospital, but he couldn't survive it. So what do we do? What are these things connote to our policy? So if there is no policy that we ensure that whistleblowers are protected, whistleblowers are given some vent of ambience of protection, there's no way anybody will volunteer information. So we are not there yet. That is the truth.
Still on corporate governance platform, this morning we are looking at whistleblowing as a governance mechanism. My guest is Dr. OLUFEMI MOSAKU-JOHNSON, ACIS. Moving on, sir. What positive development would having an effective legal framework, as you've stated, on whistleblowing bring into the country?
No, first of all, let's start with what are the things that whistleblower can bring out. One is violation of government financial regulation, failure to comply with the financial regulations, mismanagement or misappropriation of public fund, information on stolen public fund, financial malpractice or fraud, theft or collecting, soliciting bribes, corruption and so on, under reporting of revenues and so on, kickbacks and some of those areas and so on. So the government has a big role to play in this dimension. And again, we have three arms of government: legislative, executive and judiciary. If these three arms comes together and put up a very strong policy in this. But the problem is this: I was discussing this with one of the senators, and he said, how can you expect Turkey to support Christmas? That was what he told me. He said, how can you expect Turkey to support Christmas? He said, what it meant was that how are you going to expect people that are involved in this thing to support a strong policy to arrest some of these things? Incidentally, the punishment is not stiff enough. That's why you see a lot of all these issues around us. And without strong whistleblowing policy in our country, as a matter of fact, we are not going to anywhere. Our progress will be very, very well hampered. There is no way we can have our GDP value the way we want to have it. So, our economy will never be developed the way we want it, excepting we have this policy in place and it's working. So
what's the relationship between whistleblowing policy and risk management?
Yes, they are interconnected. In corporate governance, we talk about intersection. They are connected. Risk management has to do with mitigating, prevention of risk in organization, especially financial risk and so on. And that's why we have installation of GRC, governance, risk and compliance mechanism in place. That is for the risk management. But the whistleblowing aspect has to do with the fact that somebody noticed something that is not well, that is not proper, and he hears it voluntarily. He raises it and says, we cannot do this. In most cases, he raises it secretly and so on. So it's that's the area that we have some difference between risk management and the issue that relates to what we are talking about, whistleblowing.
Okay, yes. So should small companies also come under the obligation of establishing whistleblowing policy?
Absolutely. We have said that SMEs, middle, small and micro businesses and so on, we are encouraging them also to come to board. In fact, as a matter of fact, we are encouraging them to form a board now, small boards, so that there can be checks and there can be balances and so on. So small businesses and so on, we are encouraging them also to have some of these policies in place. Among their studies, start can be 4, they can be 3 and so on. If somebody is encouraged to hear his view concerning something that is not proper in the organization. So we encourage small business, we encourage big business. So everybody is on board in this.
On the last note, what advice do you have for government and corporate entities on the issue of whistleblowing?
The advice I have for government is that there should be a committee that will be set up by the federal government on whistleblowing. We have policies in place and so on, but they are not actually being properly articulated. So what we need is thorough articulation. Look at it very squarely everywhere, from police to prison officials and so on. Are you aware that somebody is in the prison but is in his house? I saw it myself, I experienced it myself and so on. So these are some of the things. If somebody is a whistleblower in that particular environment and say, this is what is happening, though, everybody will be able to work on it and so. So it happens everywhere. So government has to stand up and bring a very, very stiff policy with respect to whistleblowing, and protection of the whistleblower can never be overemphasized. So this is very, very critical.
All right, thank you so very much, Dr. OLUFEMI MOSAKU-JOHNSON, ACIS, for taking our time to speak on whistleblowing as a governance mechanism. We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Mr. Kayode Ketefe, FCIS, what advice does ICSAN have for the institutions and organizations on whistleblowing?
Well, Abisi, thank you very much for this question. The advice we have is straightforward one. We will just enjoy all corporate firms and organizations in Nigeria, whether they are profit making or not for profit, private or public, that they should all incorporate whistleblowing policy into their risk management framework. So now, not only that, they should also make it an abiding philosophy within their corporate culture. Furthermore, since Nigerians themselves are stakeholders in the socio-economic development of the nation, we also enjoy all Nigerians to embrace deep moral values, ethos, integrity, and we enjoy them to look beyond parochial interests of all sorts and to subscribe to a strong ethical disposition and commitment to national values. So, lastly, they can also consult ICSAN for guidance. The Institute has a very vibrant training department that provides training on all issues of governance. So let me quickly end it here because of time. But for more information on the Institute's training. For more information on ICSAN's training, please call Akudazi on 080-372-66853. For more information on ICSAN training, please call Akudazi on 080-372-66853. Thank you for listening and have a pleasant day.
I must appreciate you, Mr. Kayode Ketefe, FCIS, Head of Research, ICSAN, for that information. On this note, we conclude today's edition of Corporate Governance Platform, sponsored by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. Remember, we talked about whistleblowing as a governance mechanism on the show today. I am Olabisi Omidiri. Have for yourself a great day.